on my way back from going to with a friend. We went to a friend's house. One thing I want to say is because when the when we had the last week, I don't know exactly what day it was, but whatever day that we had the fall from the bridge. You know, when I first saw the accident, I remember I was the West Coast, and it had happened at 1:30 Eastern Standard Time, and I was like, because it clearly showed the lights on the ship went out at before it hit the bridge, and I was like, oh, that looks like the T word that I don't want to say on here, and I was like, there's no way that I don't understand. That didn't make any sense. Why the lights on the ship went out? Well, it came out the next day that they were doing that, from what I understand, and don't quote me on this, but from what a few sources that I've watched, because I've been keeping up with it, is that that ship it had had the same type of accident once before in the last year or two, and secondly, it had had some work done on it before it had left the port. And if you look at ships that have had accidents or have had problems, it's usually due to bad maintenance. So this ship had had some issues and had previously had some accidents, but the captain, I don't think it was a terrorist thing. And this is just as someone who's never been on I've been on a ship one time when I went from Italy to in Europe one time. That was it, but that was like almost 30 years ago. Uh, so what I do know is this, from having been married to someone who does mechanical work and who understands electronics, and as someone who's been driving. If you don't maintain something, I don't care what it is, whether it's a ship or whatever, if you don't do, especially on a large ship, on a cargo ship, that huge, if the maintenance on it wasn't done correctly or wasn't completed, you're going to have problems. Now, you can have regulations in the U.S. saying that any ship that gets on the water has to be well maintained and so on. I don't know what the laws are in the United States for shipping. But I really don't believe it was a terrorist thing, because even at the beginning, they came out and said that the captain of that ship had done Mayday calls immediately when the lights went out on the ship. When the engine went out, he immediately did Mayday. And there's no way that could be a terrorist item. So for Americans to say stupid stuff on the internet is so above and beyond racially biased. From what I understand, the two pilots on that ship were both American. It's not like they left the ship, the crew left the ship and, left the ship there and just, they flew out or, went somewhere. They were with the ship. So if they had done anything illegally, they would have been arrested right there and then. It was on the news that night when it happened. And there was clear videos of it. Why would they do anything that wasn't legal? That don't make any sense under any circumstances. And I understand, I've never done shipping. I don't know anything about shipping. But it doesn't take someone who does shipping to see if that was not a terrorist item, and it wasn't. And for American media to come out here and talk badly about foreigners, and I understand you might not like the politics or the current president, but just because you don't like the president or the government, it doesn't mean everything is their fault, and any and everything that they do is their fault, happens is Why would the president want to do something like that? That doesn't make any sense. And I remember when 9/11 happened, it happened under a Republican and a lot of Democrats. There was a lot of stuff out there saying that this was a doing by a Republican, and we cannot in this society come out and just be against the other people, the other side, and say this is their thing, their fault, they're doing. If you act out of hatred and everything and racism on every little bit, it's just going to create more racial bias and more hatred. I understand this is an election year, people. I understand we might not like and agree with the other side. But just because we don't agree with each other, it doesn't mean we should hate each other. That is just so above and beyond absurd. And I understand Republicans don't trust Democrats and vice versa. But it doesn't mean we should hate each other. We can agree to disagree and be polite. And we need to stop this racial bias that's in this country and the hatred that a lot of people are currently having towards each other. It's not gonna. In Persian, in Farsi, we have it saying "Abu nunet nemishe," meaning it's not gonna be your bread and water at the end of the day. Whatever it is, that's not your bread and water, and because you gotta have some bread and water to survive as far as food. And if it's not your bread and water, it's not necessarily. It's not a thing that you need. And so hatred towards other people just because you disagree with their political stuff doesn't mean that you should say racially biased things or hateful stuff about them. So just an idea, there's no point to live out of hatred in life. It doesn't get you anything. It just makes you more frustrated and more upset. Just an idea and just a thought. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Be safe. If anybody has any idea how to drive safely on bridges, I would love to know that because I have no idea in an event like that what you're supposed to do to be safe. Please like and subscribe to my channel, and if you can share, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Much love. Bye.